Welcome to the I Don't Active Health Show with your host, Khalil Smith, and I have my guest, Amar Ward. We're going to be talking about credit and how you can improve it and how you can make your dreams come true because credit is important and you need that for everything
Absolutely.
houses, cars, so businesses, anything. So,
Apartments, anything.
for real. So, I'm going to get into this introduction and we can get right into it. And I want my audience to get a couple of takeaways from this, like tips. I would like to tell them like how they can start 1 through 5, anything of that nature. We're gonna get right into that at the end of the show. Welcome to the I Don't Like the Hell Show, Omar. I'm glad to have you here. I want to get
Thank you.
started. Starting off, well, I want to talk about who you are and why you got into helping people improve credit.
Thank you. My name is Amar. I actually got started improving credit by improving my own. A friend of mine saw a post on Facebook I had made kind of complaining about some limits that I was having. My partner and I at the time, we wanted to buy a house, so I met with a lender, and I made pretty good money. I was making, decent money. I always paid my bills on time, so I thought, let's buy this house. We had some kids, and we just needed more space. So, anyways, we met the lender, and she almost laughed us out of the office. Right?
Yeah.
I had like maybe 40 items in collections. I grew up in a household where screw it, send it to credit was kind of like the theme, right? Send it to collection, send it to credit. Just I grew up hearing my parents say things like that, and I kind of got into that same pattern when I was like 18, 19 years old. If a bill that I couldn't afford couldn't be paid for whatever financial restriction I was having at the time, I would say, screw it, send it to collections. I go from T-Mobile to Sprint to Verizon, right? Like, you guys ain't getting my money. I'm just going to send it over to collections. And eventually caught up, right? Like I went to buy this house, and I thought since I had a lot of money saved up in cash and had a good down payment, and I was making really good money at the time, I can go buy a house, right? So anyways, she laughed, she pulled my credit report. It's like a 494, 470, somewhere around there. And I was shocked. I was like, what do you mean I have bad credit? Like, I pay all my bills, I do this, I do that. And that's how it started. I made a post on Facebook, and a friend of mine reached out and said, hey, I can repair your credit. And in that same conversation, she asked me, hey, do you want to make some extra money? And I was always down to, create little hustles here and there. And I never knew it would grow into this, though, to the point where I'm, helping. I just did my 500th customer. I don't know how to say that correctly, but
Yeah, I saw that.
yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And
I'm glad. I know the people who you help are very happy. That's important.
Yeah. Got a lot of first-time home buyers, a lot of business owners, a lot of people that couldn't really afford to finance a car at such high interest rates that we're able to lower those interest rates down or get their first car. People come to the office or reach out via Facebook or anywhere, and they have their their wherever they want to go. But yeah, that's how it started. Fixing my own credit, went through the process and the trial of that. I learned how easy it was. And in that, I was like, man, this is really easy. And I asked my mentor at the time, how much did you make off this? And she was like, oh, I made this much or this much. I was like, oh, cool. What? Per person. I was like, how do I do this? I want to show everybody what you just showed me. And that's kind of how it started.
That's amazing. That's most of the time that's how it starts. Like, you start improving yourself, and then you see how easy it is, and you want to help other people to do it. Because if you're having a problem, somebody else is having the same problem out there.
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, so that's a great story. But I want to talk about how do you define credit? What is credit to you?
So to me, credit is it's kind of like a double-edged sword, right? Because borrowing is always conflicting with responsibility, right? It's just the credit score, to be exact, is a system that allows us to really judge and or gauge whether or not a borrower is capable of paying us back. Right. So if you're to finance a vehicle or a truck or anything, a guy just came in the other day. He had something on his credit. He was financing a sound system for his car. And I was like, I didn't even know you could do that. Right. But people finance anything.
I've done that.
It's letting the lender know, the person that's letting you borrow the money, know that you're a responsible borrower. It really is what a credit score is. Like, and how responsible you are, how likely they are to be paid back.
What are some things that are a positive to finances, like such as homes, cars? People can improve their credit. And then I want to talk about credit cards. I want people to know more about that because I've heard like different things. Don't pay it off fully. Make sure you pay your bills on time or a little early.
Yeah.
If you pay it off too much, the bank you don't have something. They don't have nothing to judge you on anymore.
Yeah. There's so many credit myths out there, right? I just like to really refer to the resources that I go to. There's a website that is designed by FICO, the company. FICO is a company that was started to help lenders know who to give money to, right? And they created a system that just gauges people and their borrowing ability, right? But they have all these different tools on their website. If you go to myfico.com/education, there's
MyFi what?
myfico.com
MyFICO.
/education. Yeah. You'll actually see like they break down how their scoring system works. They use a tool which I call the Big Five, right? There's 5 different categories in which they are judging you. The 2 largest categories that most of us need to pay attention to are just the amount that we're borrowing, right, against the allowance. So in the event that you have a credit card that gives you a $10,000 allowance and you borrow over a certain percentage, they're going to warn other lenders out there, other banks, other financial institutions, like, hey, this person is financially struggling and or in a scary system or mode that they're currently in. Don't let them borrow. So what they'll do is they'll drop your score temporarily to notify everybody else that you're not being financially responsible in this moment. And it's not a permanent drop, right? A lot of people say, oh, if I go over 30%, I'm never going to have a good credit score again. Well, no, that's not true, right? FICO is a company, just like any other company, and they're made of people, right? These people are humans that work at this business, and their job is just to kind of inform lenders how safe it is to let that person borrow money at that time, or lease an apartment or lease a car, whatever they're borrowing, right? Anyways, the Big Five really breaks down into 5 categories. It's on their website, it's on my website too, and I could send it over to you as well. So hopefully you'll be able to share it on Facebook to educate more people. But the Big Five, 2 categories is the amount of money you borrow, which they identify as amount owed, right? How much money you have in debt. This can be student loans, it can be your mortgage. This can be my favorite, it's collections, right? Like I told you, I had a really bad relationship with collection agencies. But it could just be how much money do you owe, right? Like how much money is out there that you're supposed to be paying back right now. And the second category is, are you on time? That was another thing that I was not really a friend of back in the day. I can never make an on-time payment. But they want to know, like, are you going to pay their money back on time, right? Those are the 2 biggest categories that account for 65% of your credit score. And if you can get those 2 down, the other 3 are pretty small. It's credit mix, new credit, and credit age, right? Those 3 are very, very small variables and what it takes to boost your credit score, have a strong credit score. But it's really just about paying on time and not borrowing too much. Don't overborrow, right? And if it has to get sent to collections, like if you really can't make that payment, make a payment plan with that company, right? Figure out what you can do to get that balance down. A lot of companies, unfortunately, don't follow some of the rules of reporting. So that's where I come in, and I'm able to kind of get some of those things removed off your credit report.
Okay, let's jump into that part. Exactly what you do on that part. I want you to elaborate on that and how you can be of service to other people.
Yeah, so there's this really cool system of laws that was written called the Fair Credit Reporting Act, FCRA. And I have it on my computer, right? I look through it every day just to make sure it hasn't been updated or anything hasn't changed. But I just use these laws to kind of combat some of the things that some of the creditors are doing to consumers. For example, medical debt is a really big popular conversation right now because the credit agencies and the government have come together and decided that they no longer want medical debt under the amount of $500 on people's credit report, right? So some of these small hospital bills that really just nickel and dime us will no longer affect our credit report. But there's other rules in this Fair Credit Reporting Act. It's a pretty lengthy document, it's over 150 pages. But within these rules are all little different loopholes and protections that allow us to get certain things removed. I got a lot of shares on a post I made last year where I removed some student loan debt, and people thought it was impossible to get removed. But thanks to the Fair Credit Reporting Act, it wasn't. we were able to get some of those things removed last year. So
You said, what does the FCRA stand for?
Fair Credit Reporting Act.
Oh, Fair Credit Reporting Act. Okay. So yeah, that's good for people to know. Like, there are loopholes. They can come to somebody like you who actually looks into that research. I know a lot of people aren't reading that book, so that's why a lot of people aren't knowledgeable about it. What? But I do want to ask you another question. What are some things people can do at any point in life to increase their wealth, as far as credit is concerned?
I really think it's about organizing your life, right? Like, I read this book by Dave Ramsey called The Total Money Makeover. And it really just like opened my eyes to just the value of budgeting, the value of paying attention to your income, right? Our biggest wealth building tool that we have is our income. Whether you're making $20 an hour, you're making, $150 an hour. Like, no matter what your income is, if you're, a sole prop or LLC, or you're working for somebody, it doesn't matter. Like, no matter what your income is, if you put that in an organized format and you put yourself on a budget, you will have more buying power. And if you want to build wealth, right, and everybody's version of wealth is a little different. I love investing, right? Investing in mutual funds, investing in life insurance policies, and investing in real estate. These are very, very powerful tools that anybody has access to. It's not limited. Even if you have a felony, you can still buy property, right? Like, you are not limited. And really what you got to do is figure out, okay, how much money do I have? How much money can I save, right? And once you can save, 3 to 6 months of your monthly expenses, whatever your monthly expenses times 3 to 6, somewhere in there, if you can save that amount and set it aside, then you'll be prepared for what we call Murphy's Law, right? Whatever can go wrong will go wrong. And those tight moments where you feel like it's an emergency, you'll have a savings account to go to. And that gives us the ability to come out of survival mode, right? A lot of people in our community, the Black community, get stuck in this survival mode because we don't have a savings account, right? So whenever that emergency hits, it makes us scramble. We go get more overtime hours, or we have to borrow money, or we get into more debt, right? But if we can just really just focus in on that budget every single month, and it's if you're single, obviously download the tools or whatever you got to do to be more restrictive. If you're in a relationship, have that meeting with your partner or spouse or your family and sit down and have budget meetings once a month. Just say, hey, this is how much money we're making. This is how much money we need to pay towards bills, and this is how much we can save. That is the beginning. That's the first step, right? If you could just save $1,000, like $1,000 up front, and then really dig yourself out of debt, whatever that means to you, and then come back and get that 3 to 6 months saved up. Those 3 steps that's the beginning of wealth building. That's how I started.
That's amazing. I like that budget meeting concept. That's important.
A lot of us suck at it, right? I wasn't very good at it, but the more I recognized it was helping, I was like, oh, and there's all these apps. It's really, really cool apps. There's one I use called the Every Dollar app. That allows us to really just see where our money's going. Because if you look like all your subscriptions every month, like how much food you eat, and like if you just like run over and grab gas here and there and here and there, it's like, okay, well, I spent this much money this month. Maybe I can cut out, lunch on, Tuesdays and Thursdays, maybe, and just, bring some food from home, right? Or just like little things you can change up, and you recognize at the end of the month, you save $500, $800. Like, oh, wow, I've had way more money than I thought I had, right? Just off these little tiny, habits that you can change.
Yeah, sometimes we just get caught up in that loop when we're doing something repetitive. We just do it daily. But I do want to get into more the entrepreneur side. So let's say somebody trying to apply for business credit.
Mm-hmm.
I know you say you help people with that. Like, how do you go about that? Like the business credit.
So business credit is a little tricky, right? Because a lot of companies and a lot of lenders don't really care about your business credit score, right? There's a few different systems that are out there that can track your business score. But most people are going to want to know who is behind this loan.
Actually, before we get into that, let's say this person doesn't have a credit score, because I think that's called DUNS, right?
Redundant, yep.
Yep, DUNS. That's their credit score. Let's say they don't have it. Like, let's say they just want to open a business account, but I don't know. Do they check your personal credit score for that before you open up? Like,
it depends on what you're trying to access, right? Like, if you want to borrow capital for, let's say, a lot of startup businesses just need like $50,000 to $100,000 on starting capital. That's what they need. They need cash, liquid, to pay for their office and buy computers and pay staff for a few months. Startup capital is based on the borrower, not the business. right?
Okay.
Now, let's say you're trying to buy equipment for your business. You actually need equipment, like you need a new mic or headphones or things like that, right? Like equipment loans are based on the owner. How does this owner personally perform, right? So they look at way more than just your business score. You can go get a Duns and Bradley number today, right? You can go get a Duns number and have a credit score today. It's not a big deal, right? You can open up 4 or 5 different accounts within that business line and open up what we call trade lines under the business name. But at the end of the day, every lending company I've ever dealt with, every bank I've ever dealt with is going to want to know who is behind the business. How does the owner perform? How many assets do they own? How many trade lines do they currently have, right? One of the businesses that I own is WFD Financial, where we provide startup loan and capital for businesses, right? And a lot of equipment leasing, and we basically find the money for businesses. That's our job. So a lot of my clients come to me and like, hey, Amar, I have business credit, but I have horrible credit. I have to go get their personal credit score up to their business to make it make sense. Otherwise, a bank is not going to do business with them, or a financial lender in any way, shape, or form. You have to have your business performing at the same level. What's really cool about business loans and business credit is even if you don't have a business credit score, you'll still get the loan. It'll still be pushed through. And this may be your first line item on your business credit score. Like a lot of clients come through, they don't have any business credit, but they have great personal credit. And because we had to open up an account for them and open an additional trade line in their business name, they now have business credit.
So I don't know if this is a myth, but I heard some banks, they don't like to give out business loans. Some do, depending on how they operate.
A lot of your larger banks, the ones that me and you both know, Chase, Wells, BOA, these bigger banks, we account as consumers for 98%, or excuse me, less than 2% of all their loans, right? Most of their loans are actually given to businesses. 98% of their book of business is actual businesses, but they're not businesses like that we would traditionally think of, right? Like Boeing, for example, has trade lines, right? They're performing at a very different operation than myself, right? So for smaller businesses, and smaller businesses are less than 500 employees. If you think less than 500 employees, these enterprises don't normally get business loans. They don't get approved, right? So we have to go what are called lending sources. A lending source is a little bit different. It's usually a private bank or a small bank, or maybe a family trust that's allowing people to borrow from that trust, or maybe just somebody who has extra capital they want to start loaning out. These are called lending sources. Lending sources are what most small businesses under 500 employees are looking for. And these lending sources can, it's a very wide range, right? I have banks that people have never heard of. The only reason I heard of is I'm in this industry, right? But they're really small banks. They don't do a lot of business every year. They probably have 20 to 30 clients a month. These banks will do loans like that. And what they're looking for, again, is just a personal guarantor. Personal guarantor on the loan is going to be the owner usually, 99% of the time, unless it's a partnership, then it'll be both of them. But the personal guarantor's credit is what's going to carry that loan.
What is a personal guarantor?
The owner of the loan, somebody who's going to guarantee.
That what I mean? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So just somebody who is responsible if the loan defaults, somebody who they can reach out to if there's a payment needed, and somebody who's going to be responsible for making that monthly payment. We identify that as the personal guarantor.
Okay. I want to tap back into WFD Financial. So you said pretty much people come to you to help with raise their credit, and you'll help them find those banks that will give them those loans.
Yeah, so that's some of my customers' pathway. Traditionally, the pathway of a customer for me is people say, "Hey, Amar, I need a truck. Hey, Amar, I need this agricultural equipment. Hey, Amar, I need to stage this house," or "Hey, I need to buy this office building." Right? They'll come to me with an idea, and they say, "I need capital to buy dot, and I'll put together the loan package for them." Once I put the loan package, they didn't get the capital to purchase whatever they're looking to purchase. But sometimes they don't have a credit score, right? So if they don't have the necessary credit score, then I will send them through the program to get them ready for that loan.
Okay. What else do you do? WFD Financial. What else do you offer other than what you just said?
That's pretty much it. It's just a finance. Yeah.
Finance. Okay.
Gotcha. Yeah. We do offer training. We do offer training for people who are interested in getting into the field, and we offer a lot of sales opportunities for people who want to learn the financial industry. It's a great first step in understanding finance and understanding banking and transactions. Yeah, a lot of people come through here and they start their own businesses because what I do is duplicatable, right? They can go do their own thing, but so that's another thing I offer is if people are interested in getting into the lending industry, getting into leasing, getting into financing, whether it's heavy equipment, buildings, boats, aircrafts, whatever they want to start financing, or we have the capability to teach them how to do that here.
And so if somebody didn't want to, whoever's watching, if they wanted to get into that, would they just go to wfdfinancial.com?
Yep, there's a tab on there that says join our team, I believe. That's what it says.
Okay, that would all be below. Where else can people find you if they wanted to reach out to you to find out more about credit and removing things or
definitely Facebook.
combating it?
I'm not very good on social media. I wish I was better at it, but definitely Facebook. And I just started TikTok, just posted my first TikTok last week, but definitely Facebook. And then, of course, via text or email.
Okay. So I know there's some people who watch me, they have really low credit scores, such as like maybe 500 and they want to get a home. How do you go about that process if you had them as a client? Like what would you tell them as far as like a blueprint?
So step one is find a realtor, right? I always say start with your realtor because your realtor is going to really change the game for you, right? They're going to give you very realistic expectations. They're going to walk you through the process from step A to step, Z, from beginning to end, right? I fall somewhere in between, step 3 and 4, right? That's where my game is. But when you're buying a house, definitely find a licensed, dependable realtor. There's some great ones out here in Tacoma if you're in the Tacoma area. But whoever, you have to be careful, obviously, when choosing any professional, but just find a great realtor that can walk you through and that has the mind of an educator, right? Like the heart of a teacher, right? Not somebody that's like really trying to sell people houses or buy, listings or whatever, but somebody who's really willing to teach you and walk you through the experience. As a first-time home buyer or somebody who has low credit trying to buy a home, it can get really sticky, right? There's some really, emotional moments along that process. As far as the credit repair portion of that, once you find a realtor that you like, they're coming into a credit repair program is great, right? It's a fast track to fixing your credit. It's going to take about 90 days mostly. The credit repair agent is going to identify all of the errors, right, that are on your credit report. They're going to identify everything you can fix yourself, and they're going to show you the process on how to remove those errors and how to dispute properly. And then they're going to give you a bunch of tools. Once all those things are removed, your credit score does not jump up immediately, right? So once we remove everything, it might jump up a little bit, but you still have to start building on top of that. And that's where we give you the tools to properly build credit. Like you talk about credit cards. I've mentioned trade lines and some other tools that you can utilize to build your credit score from that point. And once you're at a 620 or higher, most loans are available to you. Most conventional FHA, VA loans will be available to you. Some loans do require a higher credit score than others, but your realtor and your lender will walk you through that. Your realtor is really going to be your point guard, right? Buying a house takes a whole team of people that are behind you, but your realtor is your point guard. He or she will walk them through every single step on what they need to do, what they need to be prepared for, and kind of kick the ball to the people that need it at such time. So if they do need a credit repair agent, your realtor would kick that ball over to me, and we'll handle it. And if you guys want me to be your credit repair agent, and I don't know your realtor yet, of course, make the introduction.
Of course. All right. Thank you for that. All right. Where do you see WFD Financial in 5 years?
In 5 years from now, I definitely see a lot of growth, right? A lot of potential. This first year for us was incredible. It's blessings beyond measure. I definitely see our next venture right now. We just purchased our first over-the-road truck, right?
Congratulations.
We financed. Oh, thank you. We financed our own truck, right? So I'm starting a branch of WFD that is trucking, right? And going through this last year with WFD, I recognized a lot of my clients were truckers, right? buying trucks, and I got to learn the process and the behaviors and the systems that go behind over-the-road trucking. But the goal is to really just have somebody come in and whatever they want. If they want to buy a building, if they want to buy, 55 houses, they want to buy a bunch of land to develop, whatever business they want to invest in, the capital is here. So, I can only do so much work myself. That's why I have a team behind me, right? Like I have a few different assistants and salespersons. But as our book of business grows, so will our team. So I just definitely see it just being, huge. I don't see why I can't compete or sit in the same tables with Chase Bank or, Bank of America or Wells Fargo or some of these bigger lenders. I don't see why I don't have a seat at the table. And I think I will. And I do now. So I'm just going to continue to, rub elbows with the right people and make sure I have my seat. If they don't want to give me a seat, I'm going to start my own table, right? It's kind of just how it's going to go.
I love your drive. I can see it now. Make your own table if you have to.
Yeah, I took that quote from Tyler Perry. He did it well. He did it very well. So I definitely going to, the WFD is going to go everywhere it can. Right now we're national, which was huge. We just went national 3 weeks ago. Able to do a loan anywhere throughout the country now. So that's more advertising, more customers, more, it's just expanding and expanding.
That's great. That's the goal. Expand, help more people, expand that reach.
Yeah, and educate. One of the really cool things about what people, don't see at WFD is customers come in with an idea, right? And they have all these myths, just like credit myths, right? Financing myths exist too. But these homeowners or these business owners, they have the drive, they have the ambition, they have everything they need, the entrepreneurial spirit. They just don't have this little body of knowledge that we can like kind of toss them like alley. As they're on their way towards success, we have something for them to help them go to the next step. So, and there's so many companies that, are thriving right now because we were able to help them. It's really rewarding, especially like when we get like the Christmas cards or the thank you letters or people stop by the office. Like we take a lot of people. One of the really crazy stories, a single mom wanted to buy her first truck. She was working at, I don't know if I can say name companies on this, but she was working at a small delivery company. And they weren't paying her right. They were paying her anywhere between $12 to $15 an hour, right? As a commercial truck driver. But she was stuck because she was stuck between bills and kids and daycares. And she couldn't go out and find another job. She couldn't go buy her own truck. But when she came to us, we were able to put together a package together that worked for her loan. She could make the payment. And she bought her first truck. She's now at 5 trucks.
That's amazing.
Clearing a ridiculous amount of money per week. She came by the other day. She's out of Chicago. She just stopped in the office one day in tears. I was crying too, and just gave me a big hug, like, "You changed my life. You changed my life." Blah blah blah. I'm like, "No, not really. It was, it was the big guy upstairs, right? Like, it had nothing to do with me. You just found me on Instagram, right?" And it was really really dope. Like some of those stories are just amazing because it's not a bunch of rich people just borrowing money, right? Sometimes it's really people that come from the same background as myself, and we just need the opportunity to take a step in a direction we don't really know where we're going exactly, but if you can find
just some guidance,
I can point you in the right direction.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I'm about to get you back on here talking about the trucking. That's something I want to tap into later for my audience who's trying to get into that field.
Absolutely. I got a operations manager who I would love to invite to this conversation. He's a beast, man. He's taught me everything I know about trucking. Because just looking from the outside in, it looks pretty simple, but it's pretty complex. And so I found somebody who actually ran their own trucking company for years, and I put him onto the team. I kind of showed him my vision, and he was like, "Oh yeah." So we've now teamed up, and he runs the trucking side of things for me. I just kind of take care of, make sure the money's moving the right way. But yeah.
Yes, we definitely have to check. Make that appointment, make that happen. Talk about that trucking thing. But I do want to ask you some more entrepreneur questions right now. Yeah. But this is more on how important is it to have a team at your business?
You can't do it all. Honestly, people don't take you seriously if you're a CEO, chief everything officer. You know what I mean? Like nobody's gonna take you seriously in this game. You're gonna max out at a certain capability, right? They have these things called capability statements for most companies where you have to kind of provide information to other vendors and potential clients of what you can do, right? And if you put all these different capabilities up up front, say, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. And you're all trying to do it up here. There's only 24 hours in a day. You got to sleep for at least 5, right? So, with that 19 hours, you're going to be capped. So you need to borrow somebody else's 19 hours and then borrow somebody else's and then borrow somebody else's, right? You got to put the team together because it takes way more than 19 hours in a day to get to where, you're making, $1 million, $2 million, $100 million a year. Now you can cap at like 100,000, maybe 200,000 most entrepreneurs when you do a solo mission, right? But if you're trying to make like, money enough to, live a certain lifestyle that, a lot of people want to live, 100,000 is not going to cut it, like you might as well just go get a job. But you got to get a solid assistant, get a solid bookkeeper. You got to really make sure your banking guy, your CFO, whoever's running the money, really you can trust them, and you have to know how to read the numbers as well. In your sales team, a lot of these businesses are based on sales or your outreach, whatever service you're providing. Whoever's going to be the face of the company going out there and getting the book for you, right? You got to make sure that's solid. You can't do it by yourself. Like some of the best have tried. Greg Cardone, he talks about the value of having a team, right? You can't do it by yourself. You got to put your team together, and you're going to bump your head, and your team's going to steal from you, and you're going to have some people that join the team that aren't really for you guys, right? But push through it, find another person to replace them, take the L, keep moving forward.
That was amazing. Hopefully my audience is writing these notes, taking these gems. You can't do it by yourself. I've tried.
Yeah, and you cap out, right? Like there's like
you get tired. You're like,
your brain will turn off, and then you're making mistakes. It's not worth it. I read this book called The 4-Hour Workweek. Dude's a psychopath. Like he's one of the craziest authors I've ever read, but I love him so much. But he has this theory where most entrepreneurs shouldn't work more than 4 hours. You shouldn't work more than 4 hours a week. And I'm talking to you, Khalil. You're like, what? Like what? How?
Yeah, I don't know how.
Yeah, and it really is about setting necessary boundaries with your team and finding people that can really perform. I love, and this is a gem that I don't want to tell a lot of people, but I love retired people. If you were in the game for 30 years and you retired from another company, okay, I'll give you a salary because you're bored. More than likely, they're bored, right? I got a guy right now on my team in the trucking business for 35 years, retired, has way more money than he could ever count, right? But he's bored. So it's like, yo, let me toss you this little bag every week, and you tell me how to run this business. And he's like, oh, okay,
That makes sense. We're meant to move, not just stay stagnant and relax.
I love retired veterans that are in the game that can listen and really understand. Like it may be a little bit different than it was 25 years ago, like especially with social media and advertising, right? But the wisdom that they provide to the table and have a solid assistant. Any leader needs an assistant or two, like and really just understand like it's okay if 80% of the job gets done. Don't try to get stuck on perfection. Like a lot of entrepreneurs, we have the mindset that everything has to be perfect. The email has to look exactly a certain way, or the bid has to look a certain way. It doesn't. 80% cuts it.
That's crazy. I'm the same way. I had someone tell me, a mentor I had tell me, it's all about momentum, not perfection.
Yeah, perfection is never the goal. Get it done. Move past it. Don't even think about it. Like sometimes I'll be hovering over my sales team and I'll see them on an email or something, or I'll hit enter on their on their keyboard. I walk past, just hit enter, like, hey, send it now. And sometimes it's like 7 words, and they're really frustrated. But I'm just trying to teach them the value of get it done. Like we have 8 hours today to get so much work done. You want to spend a whole hour working on one email, right? Or like one little business card or one little logo? Like no, hit enter, get it done. More than likely, that little detail doesn't matter to the person receiving it. They just want to know if you guys can do the job, right? So that's team's everything, man. That's everything.
That's me. I'm taking notes too. I need to work on that. I try to do everything, and sometimes I'm afraid to hire other people to bring on if they don't have the same vision as me.
And speaking to male ego in this per se, right? Like there's so much respect and value that comes out of having a team. Like when I come to a meeting, I'll sit down right by myself. This is back in the day, but I'll sit down by myself and I'll be taking notes for myself, and I'll be like, doing all these different things myself, and the rest of the people that are like looking at me like, oh, he doesn't really know what he's doing. But when I have my assistant can have no idea what's going on, like no idea. I'm like, yo, just sit here for 30 minutes with me. And it just makes it look like we're more professional, right? We present differently. And when she's taking notes for me, or she's doing certain tasks for me, or when she makes a call, like it's just like I'm a representative of WFD. It's a different feeling that you're portraying to your customer, your potential client base, right? and they think, oh, a team of people are working for me versus like this one individual is trying to hustle and take care of bills, take care of kids, take care of his wife. Like it's a different feel when you like a whole team of people are focused on the same goal. I just got off a call earlier with a potential client. They were complaining because they felt like their needs weren't being met by their current provider. And I asked them, what's the needs that are being met? It's like, oh, they're never on time. I know in my head, this entrepreneur that's trying to provide this service is strapped with time. And he or she just doesn't have the construction that they need or the team that they need to flow freely through, through the planet. They can't move how they want to move. When you put a team together, if, everybody's taking care of one task, you can do whatever. You can meet whoever, whenever you want, right? Like I'm able to take this meeting with
crazy. You got a primary, a backup. If you're not going to make something, have somebody else in place. So you keep that professionality.
Or when you want to vacation, like being able to take time off is just so rewarding, right? When you can actually go to another state or another country and just like know the job is still being done. And it maybe not 100% because you're not there, right? But 80% is still making you the same amount of money.
That's amazing. That's crazy. I'm going to have to rewatch the video. Hopefully everyone else does too. So my last question before we get into the Item Active Health round, I want to ask you how important it is to have a mentor. Because you say you had a mentor when you were learning this credit game and how to be really good to help people.
It's vital. There's like, it's like having a mentor is better than having time, I would say. Like what they're gifting you is the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of time, right? Time will teach you, absolutely, right? You can make mistakes, bump your head, but when there's somebody that's been in the game, 10 plus years, whatever system you're in, whatever sale, whatever service you're providing, if they've been doing it for 10 years, you have been doing it for 10 years. If they're on your shoulder, right? You could add the time and wisdom they just went through. It sits on your shoulder, right? So if you can call them, I have a mentor by the name of Keith. Sometimes I just call him to see how his day's going. I'll ask him, what are you reading today? Like, what book are you reading? Or what motivational video did you watch? And he'll send me like stupid TikToks that have nothing to do with what I'm doing, but it's the energy that he's pouring into me, right? And sometimes, we'll find ourselves in these conversations that go for hours that have nothing to do with business, but it's just like, he's just like pouring his wisdom and understanding of his mistakes and or his designs or sometimes it was not even about mistakes, sometimes it was his success. Like, hey, I did this and this really works. Here, you go do this too. Like, for example, he told me about a company that was going to go public for stocks, and I was like, "Oh, what do they do?" And he's like, "They're doing something with automation with cars. It's like 3 cents a share." He's like, "Buy 100 of them." I was like, "Cool, well, check it out." Right? I look at the thing on Yahoo Stocks, and I see it's a 3 cent a share, and so I bought 100 of them, just left alone. But because of him, it's not $7 a share, right? So I was like, "Oh, cool, thanks." I wouldn't have known that, right? Because I wasn't looking into it, but his wisdom told him that, right? So then he passed that on to me. But yeah, and then having a mentor for each lane that you're in too. Like, I have a mentor for the trucking, I have a mentor for the finance, I have a mentor for just life. I have a like older mentor who just kind of encourages me with family and religion and spirituality. Like, mentors are vital. They help you. You're gaining their wisdom and you're getting their understanding of what they experienced prior to you. And if you're walking the same path as them, why not take somebody who's been down that path already? Give you guidance.
Exactly. Yeah, I love it. It's important so you don't make the same mistakes, like getting the cheat codes and you getting their experience, and now you can go reach your goal faster. You save time.
Yeah, I was just explaining to my son, the value of cheat codes, right? And like, he was like, "Well, were you cheating?" And I was like, "Well, no, you're just making the game a little easier, right?" And the same with life. Like, if you can find somebody that can just make it a little easier, why not? You're not hurting nobody, right? You're not taking from me, you're not stealing or killing, right? So, but somebody can just tell you, hey, don't do business with such and such because, whatever, or be prepared for that person not to pay you in 90 days because they're always 90 days behind, right? Like, if you can just have that in your mind when you're doing business with other people, or you step into a room, you kind of already know, like, okay, this person drinks white chocolate mochas from Starbucks. So I come to see them and bring a white chocolate mocha, right? And they're like, oh, how'd you know, right? It just makes a different feeling.
Yeah, that's right. It's release some of your stress, and you don't have to worry as much. But
absolutely,
before we get into the Item Active Health round, I would like to tell my audience, if you want to take your business to the next level, go tap into wfdfinancial.com. The link's below. Amar Ward. on Facebook below. The links will be below. And so, as far as the I don't active health round, my first question is, what what is your purpose in this life?
My purpose, that's heavy. I think I just figured it out yesterday. I'm probably finding out tomorrow again, but it was yesterday. It kind of came to me that I can help. That's it. Like I can just help, right? Whether it's finding out how to get to capital, or it's just moving energy that you may feel is blocked. Like if you feel like you have been through a trauma or a time or something that can't get you to the next stage, I feel like I'm pretty good at getting you to the next stage. I might not be like your mentor or your guide or be able to spend a lot of time with you, but I have these little nuggets of tools that I could just pass you a book that help me. I could recommend a video on YouTube. But yeah, I definitely think that it's just help. I'm here to help.
I love that, especially the part when you said pass a book. Like I have a mentor who try to help me with marketing and branding and sales. He just recommended like 3 books. I bought them all immediately that day. I just
Yeah,
started reading them.
and it's,
I'm
it's
like,
so powerful, right? It's so powerful. I love that. I love
all right. My second question is, what is your morning routine like?
that.
Like when you wake up, meditate, or journal. Like how do you go about setting up your day?
So I usually tap in to um, an affirmation of some sort. I really believe in the power of affirmations. So I'll look through YouTube. I have my go tos that I like, but sometimes I can wake up in a positive energy or a negative energy. And I have to identify it early so I don't walk throughout a space I don't know where I'm at throughout the day. So as soon as I wake up, I turn on YouTube either on TV or on my phone, and I'll find an affirmation that fits well for me, and I'll just repeat the affirmation, kind of start my day. Sometimes I'm just laying down, sometimes I'm in the shower doing this, sometimes I haven't moved at all, right? And I'll come up with a couple goals that I want to achieve for the day, and I just go at it, and I try my best to just destroy these goals, right? Like I don't know if you guys could see those. That's my board. It was full of tasks this morning. I only have a few left, right? So I like little checklists like this. I'll probably go to a checklist, or I'll go on my phone and create tasks for myself and my team. But once my affirmations are done, I go to my task, and then I do my morning routine. And before I get to the office, but by the time I get to this office, I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to achieve, and I will play affirmations throughout the day in the background to make sure I'm still on track to complete those tasks. That's my morning routine. That's how I get down.
Oh, that's crazy. We're about to be best friends. I love checklists. I was just reading a book called Checklist Manifesto. I forgot the author name, but he just talks about it's just the best things, like with doctors, surgeons. Like you can miss the most minute things, tiny things. Wash your hands, put on some dressings, or anything. Or pilots, when they miss something, they may have all this training, but it'd be the little things you miss.
Yeah,
And plus, when you have a checklist and you're marking them off, you get that like that satisfaction, that dopamine, that reward hit because
yeah,
you accomplished something, such as making your bed. If you wrote it down on your list, you could just check it off. You feel like you accomplished something.
yeah. That's actually one of my things on my checklist in the morning too. I read a book called Make Your Bed. I just started implementing it about a year ago. I've been doing it consistently for about a year. But it's the first like success of the day, I guess. Like you wake up and you make your bed, you get a little cool, good start for the day, right? Like yeah, so definitely that's one of them too. But yeah, I never thought about the dopamine that you get from that. But it definitely is like
Yeah, satisfaction, reward.
it definitely is a reward.
My third question is, how do you go about um, lowering your stress levels throughout the day? Because sometimes when you're in business, you get caught up in there with everything going on so fast paced. But I know you do affirmations, so that might help. But what else do you do to kind of gauge yourself?
You know, an ex of mine, she gave me this tool. She said that you know, it's not your story. You're not writing this story, and it hit hard, right? Because I used to have this really real problem with control, and I had to be in control of everything and control of my situations. But in these moments where stress, like you get a ticket or I don't know, something happens in relationships, whatever those moments of stress are that may trigger, I just remind myself that this ain't for me. I'm here temporarily for maybe 80, 90 years max. If I don't get hit by a bus, I don't care. I'm just here to help people that are on the planet, right? And yeah.
So pretty much, you just don't overreact too much, and just kind of.
There's a solution, right? And some people, I've had people call me fake because I don't get mad and I don't get angry. I've actually lost relationships, like with spouses and partners, because I don't really mind, right? Like nothing. It's not that I don't care. It's like it's not my story. I'm just here to act it out, right? It's already written, and we're just living for the dude upstairs, right? Like this little blip of time that he puts us on the planet is so short, right? Why be mad? Why be stressed? We're here to experience love, to experience affection, to experience sadness and sorrow, but we're here for the good stuff. Nobody wants to be here for the bad stuff, right? So like stress is like people get stressed over little shit too, like traffic. I never understood that.
Yeah.
Like what's your anger gonna do? What you honking a horn and beeping at people? What's it gonna do? Nothing. All right, so just chill. Like I don't know. Like stress is I don't really have. I just let it roll off my back, man. Just keep focused on the energy. And it might be the dopamine for completing all my tasks. I might be high. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, stressing is a misuse of time. You just use too much time. It's not significant for you. It's not positive for you. But yeah, that's crazy.
I'll add to that. My finances are in order. So that's another thing. When my finances were in order, oh man, bro. Your kids looking at you when the lights are about to get cut off, or the internet gets cut off, and your kids are like, "Hey, the internet's not working." You got to make up some excuse. Oh, it's a router, right? That used to stress me out heavily, and I felt horrible. I didn't feel like a good provider. So when my money got in order, first time I got a big check, I went and paid all my bills like a year in advance, bro. I was like, "Ain't nobody cut nothing off, right?" Went and paid off the car. I was like, "We're not getting this repoed, right?" But yeah, definitely put my finances in order maybe gave me a sense of calm too. I didn't think about that, but yeah, putting my finances in order definitely allows me to have less stress. Because the thing about probably 80% of your stress is about money, right? Other stuff is little, like traffic and bumper tickets or whatever. But yeah, what was your next question? What were you gonna say?
That's true. My next one is my next question is, so this is about the body. So these last two questions. What are some workouts you like to do to stimulate your mind and your body? Because sometimes just simple movements will calm you down and relax you. You get that adrenaline rush to just do anything.
So right now I'm on like a roller coaster, man. I've lost 80 to 100 pounds probably 3 times now, right, in my adult life. And I'm back on the downside right now of it. So I really just like to be by the water, right? Like, so if I'm like just going on a walk down the waterfront or just doing my, my routine at the waterfront, that's really what I like. I just like being by the water, like working out by the water. I don't know if you've ever seen those weirdos that work out in public. That's definitely me. Like,
I used to walk around Tacoma waterfront.
Yeah.
So I've been there.
Yeah, or Foss Waterway, or down by Dash Point is another one. And sometimes I just be in there, just do my squats, my push-ups. I really just like being by the water. Anything having to do with water, large bodies of water. That's where I'm at working out.
Yeah, I think it's more calming too. Like you release more stress being outside, sunlight, the water, or nature, anything of that nature. But yeah, that's amazing. My final question is this to do with nutrition. Like, what are some foods you do to stimulate your mind and your body? Because sometimes the things you put in your body could take away energy or give you energy.
Yeah. I've really been on this. I'm just going to read the ingredients. I've been on this cleanse, right? And kind of understanding like the value of like what's in nature and how we can bring it into our body in a healthy way, right? So right now I'm drinking dandelion, cayenne, maitake mushroom, turmeric, lemon, and pineapple, right? That's what's in today's juice. But I really just think about like, I have this herbology book, right, to kind of figure out what these different herbs can do for your body and like what are some essential nutrients that we actually need that we don't naturally get from eating our normal meals per day. So that's where I'm at now, just kind of studying like the reaction and like listening to my body as well. So like with this weight gain and loss thing, I recognize that I have not been listening to my body, right? And just kind of getting in tune. Like if something feels weird, okay, maybe that's not what my body wants, right? So I've really been on ashwagandha. I don't know if you know what that is.
Yes, I do.
Another day supplement, making sure I get my spirulina in, my vitamin B complexes, my omega-3s, just making sure like I know like a checklist. Like we're just talking about checklists. So I kind of do the same thing. Like if at the end of the day I can make sure I had everything, I can tell my body feels different. Now if I go out and go drinking or I smoke or something like that, and the next day my body will tell me like, dude, what are you doing? Like it'll like literally be mad at me. And I don't know if it's because I'm about to turn 30 or I just like my body's just like more sensitive. But it will definitely like I drank milk the other day. I drank a Starbucks coffee and it had milk in it, and I just had somebody come grab it. Somebody here at the office grabbed me a coffee. I was just drinking it, and like 20 minutes into drinking, I was like, "Oh no, this ain't it." But normally it's like I don't know. It's my nutrition is really I'm dialing it in right now, trying to figure out what my body needs and or wants.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's what I tell people all the time. You just gotta listen to your body, be conscious of what you're putting in your body and how it reacts, and just be cognizant of it.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially, and just realizing what works, what doesn't work. But yeah, that's amazing. I want to say thank you for coming on here, spreading the knowledge, talking to my audience. I hope they wrote down as many notes as they can. Shoot, I'm looking forward to talking to you again. This was amazing.
Thank you. It was an honor. Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, it's all about building credit, building wealth in different ways, like you said. I love that you're helping businesses, entrepreneurs, getting the loans they need. Because sometimes that's just like I can see people. You have a vision, but you don't have direction. Maybe
Right.
That's hard, or the money, the capital. And sometimes you're just stuck, and then you want to just stop. It's good to have a resource for that.
Yeah, you can't stop. You can't stop. And hopefully, if any of your listeners are thinking about stopping right now, reach out. You really just need a game plan. Like a lot of people that stop just don't have the right game plan. I have some tools for you.
Yeah, most definitely. Thank you. I'm gonna be tapping in too.
No.
All right. Thank you everyone for tapping into the I Don't Have to Health Show. It was a blessing.